Greetings to all you cartoon car fans. Today we have a very special one. It took me over a year to track this thing down, and I still overpaid. It's just a rare model. So this is a cartooned first generation Mazda Miata, and if you watch my channel you've come to realize that I used to own a first gen Mazda Miata, so I have a soft spot for this car. Truthfully, the real car in stock form was pretty lame. But when you double the horsepower, more than double the horsepower, put a whole new suspension and a roll cage into it, it actually becomes more like a race car, and that was probably the coolest car I've ever owned. Alright, well anyways, we have this thing. It was made by, I don't know if that says CSC Qcar, but that's weird. Maybe that's the designer, but clearly it says Fuelme Models, and so that's who I think is the manufacturer, because Fuelme makes really nice resin, realistic looking cars. So that's what I assume is going on, but I could be wrong. And then it's not licensed, I don't think, or maybe it is, because Fuelme is still around. But I don't see anything saying Mazda or their approval. Original manufacturer, copyrights, logos, but I don't know, maybe it is licensed, because again, Fuelme's still around. Okay. What I don't really like, first impression, is this case. It's not a standardized case, so, and they haven't made any more models to my understanding, so it's like weird, you know. It's just gonna be strange to stack up with other vehicles, which you'll see at the end again. Is there tape holding this together? Yes, there is. And also, before I do that, okay, so it's an acrylic base with an acrylic white part glued to it. That's what that pool is. It's acrylic glue. So you'll see, maybe in the background, a bunch of cartoon images, cartooned Mazda Miatas. It's a, you know, to my understanding, it's the #1 selling sports car in history as far as the nameplate goes. So it makes sense it's a popular vehicle. Alright, so the top box is even glued acrylic, like a fish tank. You know, there's literally 5 pieces of plastic here glued together. It's not molded. So one would assume it's actually perfectly 90 degrees. Not that that should matter. Maybe it doesn't. But it's really heavy. It's like 1/8 inch, you know, acrylic. Alright, now this got this piece of tape on it because you can actually pop in the headlights up or down, it seems. So let's open this up. I'll just have those ready on the side here. Okay. So looking at the base now, as I mentioned, we have the white acrylic, and on top of it we have a nice photo etched piece of metal here, and you can see MX5. It even tells you the color, and then only 99 of this color exist. They have a bunch of other colors if you're lucky enough to find them, like yellow and orange, possibly a blue, I can't remember. If you're curious, I did buy this off AliExpress. Maybe there's a few still there. You know what? I'm wondering if it says a date on this packaging. Just looking back here. I don't know why these collectible companies don't date their products. So I have no clue how old this is. Alright. Now the first distracting thing I see is this silly pink tongue sticking out of the grill. I mean, it's a cartoon car and all, but it literally is a goofy looking cartoon with that tongue. But I guess that's just the way it is. I assume it's glued in place. Or maybe it is removable. Hold on one second. Tweezers, tweezers, where are you? Well, instead of tweezers, I have this little plastic pick. And let's see if we can move it at all. No, that seems quite rigid. I was thinking maybe it might be magnetized, like the headlights, I think, are. But I have a suspicion that thing's actually glued in place. I can't feel any sort of wiggling. Alright, you can also see there's a really tiny antenna, so I don't think you'd ever really want to handle this off the base, because you'd easily bend that. That antenna's actually painted black, so that's pretty neat. We might as well start with this view here. You can clearly see it's kind of like a Chorokyu, where the front wheels and rear wheels are, you know, staggered in their height. You can also see tread blocks, especially on the rear tire, which I'm not a big fan of course, but oh well, can't change it. The wheels are pretty nicely molded. You can see the 5 lug nuts in there, and then it looks like there's a brake system. Trying to get a more light in there. I'm trying to see if the caliper. Hold on, let me get a flashlight. Well, I think maybe the caliper's in the front and maybe it's black. You guys can probably see a lot more than I can because I'm looking through a phone screen. Or let's zoom in on this rear one. Even at 4 times magnification. Yeah, I think the calipers are black and on the front edge of the rotors. Yeah, that's got to be the case. No cross drilling, which is accurate to a real Miata. It just had flat steel rotors. And then you can see these tire treads. If we look at this angle, yeah, they look actually pretty modern as far as the tread pattern goes. Alright. So you can see tiny little door cuts. You can see the roughness of the lines because this is a resin model, it's not die cast. And the mirrors are separate pieces, and there's a reflective sticker in them, so that's good. What's not unfortunate is the whole cabin is just painted black, meaning it's solid resin. There's no interior whatsoever. And then the top as well. This soft top is just black, but it's a matte finish black, whereas the windows are glossy. So no interior. And then the rear, I guess we're going there. Oh, you can actually see the antenna is bent. I didn't even see that with my naked eye, but now we're at 2.5 magnification. And you can see the clear taillights, and you can see a round section. There should be 2 round sections in these taillights. It does seem like they're molded, but let's get the flashlight in there. I can definitely see the left circle. I can't really see so much of the right circle there. What about on this side? Well, maybe it is there, but it looks like there is a light bucket back behind there with maybe a light bulb. So there's some sort of dimensionality going on behind this red plastic, so that's kind of nice. What's kind of lame, though, is this lack of a license plate. So, just blank. You'd think they would have had a photo-etched piece of metal there for the price of a resin model. The exhaust tip is nice. It's just tiny, and it's got some black in the middle. I'm curious now if it's actually recessed. Yeah, it is recessed. Yeah, okay. So on the top here, the fuel filler there is in the proper location. And then this side of the vehicle. Oh, I see. That's a door cut line. It's just there's so much glossy paint on that. It's a little more visible there. I thought it might have been like a blemish, but no. So yeah, going around to the front. No, it's just random stuff there on the wheel. Okay, the tongue is matte finish, and then we got clear translucent turn signal covers here, and then obviously the headlights will pop in a second. The little power bulge, which is funny to say on a stock Miata. I think we had like 116 horsepower. And then some sort of separate pieces for the wiper blades, but there's actually height to them, so I don't know if this is molded plastic or 2 pieces of metal glued together. I don't want to touch it because it might fall off. So that's okay enough detail there. Let's get to those headlights now. So they're magnetized, of course. You can see this side here with the pop-up version, there's just a piece of metal. So, oh boy, it's so small. So I don't think this is a magnet, it's just the magnets on the main body. But you can see here, giant headlight. And then there's a really chrome piece behind it. It literally is reflecting my fingerprint, right? So unfortunately it's not a cone. So I think it's just, I actually think it's one of those jewel beads that kids use for crafts to put onto their notebooks, or they bedazzle themselves before going out to nightclubs, that kind of stuff. Alright, so that one popped in. We'll just do both headlights up first. I think there is a left and right. Sorry, this thing is so small it's hard to hold in my hand. Yeah, if you look at it from the front, you can see the curvature. So I think I have them in the proper way. Let's see if this looks right. Yeah, it does look right where they're curved downwards towards the sides. So yeah, very, very chromy headlights. Yeah, and it looks like a frog, kind of, sort of. All right. Yeah, I really wish it didn't have the tongue, but oh well. So let's take a look, maybe with one light up, one light down, like it's winking. So this little piece here, you can see on the back side, so small. There's like a ring, and there's a piece of metal inside that ring. So that must be glued in, or maybe this piece is actually metal. I don't think so, because the thickness of it. I suspect it's actually plastic with a little piece of metal glued into it. Is this the right one? Now, I kind of feel like these don't matter which side you put in. That worked, right? A little bit gappy. Not a fan of the down version. Looks too gappy. Let me get a better dental pick here. Whew. So I had to stop the video because this thing vanished. I heard something drop, and then it took me like 10 minutes to find this thing. And it turns out this is actually magnetic. These have magnets in them. So that's why I had a hard time finding it. It was stuck to something. So the way I know this is magnetic is this is a Hot Wheels axle. So this has some sort of iron in it, you know, because this thing, well, this one obviously will stick because we know that's, well, actually we didn't know. But that little pin on there is magnetic. And then same with this little guy, right? So these are tiny, probably actually the smallest magnets I've ever seen in my entire life. That's like a 1 millimeter magnet, maybe 1.5. Anyways, it's extremely small. So just to warn you guys, you know, if you get this thing, be mindful it's magnetic. It's almost like it'd be better if there was a metal plate that wasn't stainless steel. Unfortunately, this is stainless steel. Oh, wait a second, there is some stainless steel, I guess, has some iron in it, just not as much. So that's nice. Yeah, you can, well, it's not the strongest amount of, no, this one's too heavy. So, yeah, as I was originally saying, it'd be nice if there's actually a piece of ferrous, just normal, mild steel, and then, you know, these could stick onto it, and less chance of it being lost. Or just glue a magnets maybe down in the corner or something like that. Alright, so back to where was I now? In fact, let me get this thing off. So to get this thing off, let me just pop this one on. Yeah, I guess it's alright. I mean, I don't like these different panel gaps, but this one's definitely a lot better. It's almost like, actually, this one fits well enough that you wouldn't even know that it's a separate piece. But this one, you can clearly tell the back edge. Well, I guess it just depends. So leave a comment. What do you think? Would you even be able to tell those are removable or moving parts, those headlight covers like that? So it seems like it would be hard to actually get this out. Oh, well, you know, I'm wrong again. I was going to use some poster putty. You know, that's an easy way to do it. But on the other side, I just kind of took my fingernail, and you can see, you can get it out that way, but you might start scratching the clear coat against itself. So that's what it looked like with the light variations. I feel like actually I prefer, oh wait, did that magnet fall out? No, this magnet's just really recessed. So again, it's not the strongest bond because that magnet's so far away. No. Alright, anyways, I'm going to go back to the lights up because this thing looks ridiculous enough with the tongue sticking out. Then I might as well just go full-blown ridiculousness and leave it at that. Alright, let's compare to a couple of the cartoonish Miatas. Actually, before I do that, I might as well just show you a realistic looking Miata. This is by Mini GT, pretty good one, I think. So, let's take a look at the top view. Yeah, you know, it's definitely a wider model. So it's a little bit bigger than 164. It's in the ballpark, I guess. Alright, and then obviously the wheels are just massive. Okay, so now Qcar wise, I do have this first generation, and I have some 3D printed wheels. Yeah, this, it's alright, I guess. Mounted with putty, that's why it's steering. Back out here. I don't have any other first generation ones, so let's go to the second generation one. Qcar with some JDM wheels. I forget what these are called though. You'll have to look at the video of that one. The third generation one, just some Hot Wheels Real Riders that I painted like a copper color. And then the fourth generation is the Qcar Zero, which is a slightly better, well, it is a lot better than regular Qars. It's got printed, you know, lights and badges, and it's got wheels that are specific to the real car, although they're not passing air. It is a toy after all. Alright, so it's number 60 in the Qcar Zero lineup. All these Qars are, you know, originally pullback toys, but these three, the motor's been removed because I have the tires mounted with putty. If you're unfamiliar, poster putty, that's what I used. Okay, so that's it for an original Miata and some cartoon versions. Hold on. So let's compare it to some high-end resin cartoon cars. The first one is by Error 404. It is a tandem body GT86, I think. I can't read the plinth. I think it's a GT86, like a, what is that, a Toyota? An FR? I don't even know, sorry. Okay, this other one here is by YM Model, and it's a Civic FD2R. This is the one with the central driving position that set the front wheel drive speed record at a certain track. These now have interiors, so it's quite amazing. They're awesome. The last one is a Evo 9, and this again is by Error 404. So I gotta move this up. There we go. I have plenty of other ones that don't have interiors, but I thought I might as well show up the best of the Asian cartoon cars that I have, in case you want to go down this wormhole. But I gotta say, even though it's a wormhole, these are generally nicer than regular resin models for me, because a regular looking car is easier to make than a cartoon looking car, from my experience. From my experience, you have to make a regular looking car before you can deform it to look like a cartoon car. So it requires almost twice as much work. Or you basically have to redesign it from scratch from the get-go. Again, designing an entirely different vehicle than the original. So that's what I like about them. And then these companies themselves are making such high detail models. I mean, these have as much details as the realistic versions that YM Model and Error 404 put out. You know, the brake systems, the tires, the interiors, all the little extra paint and decals and all that stuff. So yeah, hopefully you can see that. So unfortunately, Fuelme did not put that amount of effort into this little cartoon car, which again makes me think it's pretty old. Or maybe they're just lazy. I'm not sure. But YM and Error 404 are just, they're in a different league, I think, as far as amount of work involved. Alright, well, nevertheless, this is still awesome because, again, I love the first generation Miata, even if it looks like it's sticking his tongue out at me. So I'm happy to have this, and I'll probably keep this until I die. So it's yeah, I love this car. You can see, hopefully you looked at the images behind, there's a lot of inspiration out there. This one is sticking his tongue out, this red one. That one's spitting out some coins, and then that one has one up, light up, one down. So I can see where the inspiration came for this model to come about. So thank you for watching today, and sooner or later someone's going to put out another one of these resin cute cars, and I'll probably get it because I tend to like these things more than realistic looking ones. Alright, take care. Sayonara.